Welcome to Fathers Unfiltered. This is a podcast that allows separated fathers to tell their story. We've got today's guest. Do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us your name, what you do, how old your kid is, and...
I'm Jono. I'm Jonah. I'm 34. My eldest she's 4 now. My youngest one is now 21 months.
How long have you been separated from your first partner?
That would be now 4 years from the very first lockdown.
Okay. And how long were you together?
We were together for a year, but we knew each other 8 years before then. We met through a mutual friend of ours.
Can you remember when you first met?
Yeah, it was. Would say mutual. She's a friend. She's one of my exes, and we're friends now. And she was dating my my ex's nephew's dad, and that's how we met. And we just got talking, and the relationship from then fizzled out. And I got just talking back with her about a couple of years later. Things were ace with it all. We were happy. Things got great. She had 2 beautiful kids, boy and a girl. They were epic. In a year down the line, we found out she was pregnant. Well, it wasn't even a year. It was less than that. And that was a strange one. That was, she'd got the coil put in because she said she wasn't ready for kids yet. So we were fine. And we went to go get the coil in, and they did a pregnancy test and a UTI that day. They got the coil put in, and both came back. No, the UTI came back positive, so they had to send that off. Pregnancy test came back negative. And it were like, and then she went, you go, like, for the coil, you have to go for a 6-month checkup. And she went for a 6-month checkup, and they went, we can't find the coil. They couldn't find this coil, and so she rang, and she was like, right, we'll have to refer you for an ultrasound to find this bloody coil. And this were a Monday. And the Friday, I got paid the Friday, and we'd arranged to meet family in town, take the kids one at school or nursery that time, and and she just decided to go get a pregnancy test while we were out, and I was shocked, and I was outside talking to my sisters, and she called me in, and we asked my sister to watch the little, and she called me into the bathroom, and lo and behold, there was this bloody pregnancy test. And I looked at it, I went, is it a joke one? She went, no. So I went, let's go do another one. I went to, I think it was Wilco's were open at the time. I went to Wilco's, grabbed another one, brought it back. I was stood in there, and it was the longest minutes of my life. Literally, and we stood and we waited, and again, she became back, and again it was positive. I'm like, bugger, what the hell do we do? And so, because obviously the Monday, they couldn't find the coil.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Oh God, what's going on here? So we ran the doctors up, asked the doctors what's going on. Doctors went, get your ass to A&E, basically. Get to A&E. So she went to A&E. And she came back like early hours Saturday morning. I had to stay at home with the kids. And a friend of ours took her over. I spent the night there with her, and they came back, and they went, we've got to go back Sunday at 9 o'clock in the morning.
So, were you together at this point?
Oh yeah, we were still together.
Okay.
Things was brilliant. I mean, things got even more better. The happiness was amazing. This was my first child as well. You know, I've spent my whole life going, I'd like to have a child after 10:30. I just wanted to live my life first. Well, kind of selfish of me, but I just wasn't ready to have kids at that time. So just before, it literally was months before I turned 30 when she found out she was pregnant. It was beautiful. It was this bundle of joy that was just growing inside her. I did everything. I decorated the bedroom to have a nursery section. I did everything for her. At every appointment, I wanted to be there for her. And we did. I was there, and we got one of her neighbours to watch the other kids on the Sunday that went for this ultrasound. And we get there, and we're sitting there, and we're nervous. We're like, The pregnancy test is saying she's pregnant. Where the hell's this coil going? And we go and she got the pregnancy test done, the ultrasound done, and I don't know what she's called, the people that do the ultrasounds, but, and she went, you're 9 weeks pregnant. Like, what? And, yeah, we were like, well, what about the coil? And she moved, and she went, the coil's nowhere near the baby, but you need to speak to the doctor about this. Okay, then. We were sitting in the waiting room, and it was her that clocked it. It wasn't me at the time, because it was 9 o'clock in the morning, and I barely functioned without a coughing. So I'm sitting there, and then she goes, Jono, I had my 6 weeks check-up on Monday for the ultrasound. And that's when the penny finally dropped. Like, hang on a minute, she was 3 weeks pregnant when this call was put in. And we were also told that not many people up here, not many doctors can put the coil in. It's a very tricky procedure. So obviously, this person's put it in wrong. The pregnancy test was a dud, because it's coming not pregnant. So we were going, well, is the coil away from the baby? We were concerned. The coil was fine. The coil was away from the baby. That's what we thought. And we carried on. This was summertime. This was beginning of August. Yeah, 6-week holidays had started. And then those were months of fine. Everything was brilliant. Yeah, we had ultrasounds after ultrasound. Obviously, this call, they had to check on it. And Christmas time coming. At the time, I were a chef. I was a chef in a pub. And we had Christmas parties going on. We were all late finished for me. And I come home, and most people that either female that are pregnant, or even those that are dads, for women with the pregnant, comfortability is priority. They can't get comfy for nothing. And she was comfy in bed, and she went, I'm busting for the loo. She went, but I don't want to move because I'm comfy. I went, you need to go. You hold your urine in, it's going to cause an infection. Baby, we need to be careful now. She goes to the toilet, she stood up and she felt a twinge in her stomach. She carried on to the toilet. And within 30 seconds, she screams for me. I don't know how the other two were still asleep at this time, but she screamed for me. So, I go running into the bathroom, and she's holding this towel, the tissue, and it was just full of blood. And my heart sank. And I don't know what it was, just like, I panicked, but then it was like I knew I had to make sure to make sure she was fine first. Yes, we might have been a consideration that we could have lost the baby. If we had, then it's happened. I have to make sure she was fine. She's bleeding. Need to make sure she's okay. So I ring ambulance team, and the ambulance team went, have you got a spare phone? I went, yes. Ring the midwifery team and we can get them to know. So I went, okay, pass the phone on to her at the time. Went to speak to the ambulance, they'll talk you through. I ran the midwifery, they got everything prepared. 3 ambulances turn up for her. I've already prayed on the next door's neighbour, and at just after midnight, so she can come and watch the kids. She went, yeah, that's fine. So she stayed the night, watched the kids. We went to the hospital, and what's happened were the coil had moved and it ruptured her insides, but it wasn't enough. It was away from the placenta, so it didn't cause any harm to the baby. But she were in hospital, and this coil kept rupturing, but they couldn't remove the coil without doing any harm to the baby. So this coil was still in there. It was just constantly just rupturing her, and it healed, and it happened again. She were in there, and because she had 2 other kids that weren't mine, I had a choice here. They're not mine. I could either send them over to their grandparents, because the dads weren't involved. It was their choice. The dads weren't involved. I could either send them to their grandparents, which was literally out of the county. It was other side of York here. Or I step up to the plate and be a parent. She's giving birth. She's got my child. I have to show that I can be a parent. This is my opportunity. I grabbed the bull by the horns and went, I'll watch him. I'll get him to the school, because this was also Christmas time. We had Christmas parties. They had school that still needed to go to, a nursery. I'm like, I'm not going to interrupt that and send them off to their grandparents. Yes, this is traumatic for all of us. But again, we're pushing them to York without them knowing what's going on with their mother. So I went, I'll step up. And literally it was every Friday after school, I'd pick them up, I'd jump on the bus, we'd go over to the hospital. I'd come so they could see their mum and come back. She was in hospital, and this lasted all the way over Christmas. I'd get up with the kids, I'd change the bedding if there were accidents, I'd feed them, I'd keep everything clean. And at the same time, even every single day myself, I was going over to the hospital to check on her. I was tired, I was stressed. I never knew what it was to be a dad. I mean, I've been a bonus parent, but this is for me. I was a bonus parent as well, but I've never had that one-on-one time with kids. This was petrified. This was a crash course alone for me. Head diving straight into the deep end. It's either I'm gonna sink or swim. And I swam, and I did.
How were the kids through it?
The kids were upset. They were worried because they were like, "Where's mummy?" They've gone to bed. Mummy's put them to bed. They've woken up. Mummy's not there. They were scared. They were worried. I kept them off school that day. I couldn't, it was traumatizing for them. And we did a lot. We built fortresses. We painted. We did everything. We made a mess and we cleaned up as well. But again, I had to step up for them. I needed to be. Their mum's not there. It was hard. And it was hard for me because, again, I wanted to be there with her. But then her kids needed someone there for them. So I was split in two with both of them. It got bad. It was New Year's Eve. I'd finished work. It was an early shift because New Year's Eve. No, it was Christmas. Yeah, New Year's Eve. We'd finished early. Everything shut up. We'd gone home, and I remember that day because I rang her first. And went. Kids were at their grandparents, and I were gonna go over anyway. Jump in a taxi, go over to hospital, and spend New Year's Eve with her. We're partners. I wanted to do it. So, and I didn't want to spend it on her own. So I rang her up first and went, "Right, do you need anything from town or home before I get a taxi?" She went, "Yeah." She had a thing from Mackie D's. It was strawberry lemonade. It tasted vile, but she liked it. I did it. So I went home, grabbed her clothes, and she rings me at 6:30 going, "Where are you?" I went, "I'm just grabbing clothes, love. I'm waiting for the taxi." She went, "Chase the taxi now." I went, "Why?" They went, little miss is coming tonight." Great. Okay, then. That's where panic then set in, and I'm shaking. I'm stressing. But she'd already, before she rang me, she rang the neighbour up to let her know that this is happening and to keep an eye on me. She knew I was going to panic, and I got in on her. And my mind went blank. I didn't know what she wanted. Again, everything was gone. And neighbour comes round and she goes, "Right, she's told me what she needs. It's all here. Go." Taxi pulled up as well. So I dived in taxi, went straight there. And we got that. And this is my first, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
So I expected when she's coming, I expected her to be in labour as I'm getting there. One of those, "Oh no, she's the contracts were far apart. She's tooting on gas and air like it's going out of business." And I'm panicking, going, "What's going on?" And nurse just went, "This is normal. This is fine. This is how long these normally take." So they brought me in a cot type thing for me to lay on beside her, and I did. And then she woke me up at 10:30 at night, going, "It's happening now. And your water's broke." She went, "No, but I need to shit." Excuse the language, but she went, "I need to shit." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" Got to the toilet. She went, "When babies are coming, that's how you know." I'm like, "Well, I learn something new every day." And she would come in, and it took forever. It was 2:03 in the morning. Little Miss was come. It was the most beautiful moment going. I mean, in between all this, she's tooting on gas. She threw up over herself. It was amusing. We had the main midwife did want to go do something, and we had this trainee midwife that was in with us. And she just threw up all over herself, not the midwife. My daughter's mum at the time, and I'm like, "Great." And the midwife went, or the trainee went, "I'll go get my colleague." I went, "Why, love, can you not do it?" She went, "Yeah, but it's a 2-person job." I went, "Let's go then." And she was like, "Do you know what to do?" I went, "Love, this is my partner. I'm going to do it. I've stripped her and dressed her so many times, it's unbelievable. I've been a carer, and it's going to be simple. When it's a good job she don't need a cannula put in her catheter, because I could put that in too. And I did. We stripped the bed, we changed her, stripped the bed, got it all ready. She didn't even move off that bed. Threw it all in the corner. Head midwife comes in. She sees it's been changed. She went, an accident. She went, yeah. She turned around to trainee midwife. Went, did you do this? She went, no, he did. And she goes, oh, you've done this before? I went, yes, love, I have. And then we carried on with birth, and I watched little man come out, and little miss, sorry, wrong child, little miss come out, and it was the most happiest moment in my life. And she was 8 weeks. She was 8 weeks and 5 days early. She was once supposed to be born till the 1st of March 2022. No, 2020. And she was born New Year's Eve. Literally early hours of New Year's Eve. And it was beautiful. I was worried because she wasn't breathing. I was panicking. They got her to breathe, and then they took her to Skaboo, the neonatal unit. And obviously I'm trying to talk to her to see if she's okay, and I'm crying to her, and she's beautiful. And the midwife, she just pushed on the stomach, and all that afterbirth come out.
Yeah.
And the only words I turned around and went, that's just nasty. She went, you've watched your child come out of there and you were fine with that. I went, but I feel sick. Just no. She went, do you not want to eat it? I went, no. And she was, we laughed away, and little miss were okay. Grace was, her mum wasn't. And we decided as a group, as a couple at the time, we'll wait until my partner at the time was okay, to go get into the chair and go. And this is 3 minutes in the morning. We were knackered. We were ready for bed. We were done. She was exhausted, and she was struggling to stay awake. And we just went, we'll go. And we went. And when I saw her in that incubator, I still think now I cry. I'm about to bloody cry, because it was seeing this little life, and she was tiny, with all these wires and beeping, and I'm like, is she okay? Why is she so tiny? What's going on here? What's this wire for? What's that do? What's this? And I was on one, and they said everything fine. They went, do you want skin on skin? I'm like, I don't want to hurt her.
Yeah.
I don't want to hurt her. And they went, no, so I let Grace do it her mum do it first, and she did it. She went, your turn now, and I sit in the chair, and she's in, and I'm stiff as all, tops off, stiff so, and I'm like, holding my child, and I'm bawling my eyes out, because, again, this bundle of life in my hand, this is something, and at that moment of time, I've suffered from mental health my whole life. But even when I watched her come out, I sat back and realised, and any problem I had, any past trauma, any hurt, pain I had from my whole life was gone. It was just disappeared. There was no worry. Yes, I was worried she was in, but any other problem I had would just disappear. It was gone.
What was the relationship like once you'd finally come out? Did you finally get some sort of normality?
I wish it would. It wasn't normal. It was. I think for us it was the stress, because she spent from New Year's. You spent the first month of the year of 2020 in neonatal unit. So we were all. Her mum was already in there because they needed to get that coil out, get it to heal and everything like that. So, but I was still coming home, dealing with the kids. I hadn't told the kids at this point. I didn't. We agreed we were going to surprise them. And we did. I took them over the weekend, because I were going to take them over the Friday. And she went, no, Jonah, because the kids are going to be overexcited after school. You're going to be tired. You're going to be stressed. Come the Saturday, at least then we can spend the day with them. And I did, and seeing my daughter's siblings' faces was just amazing. And it was still stressful coming backwards and forwards. She comes home, her mum comes home, and it was like everything was normal. Everything was there was nothing that was different. It was like as if she'd never left. The whole relationship was just fine. And then little Miss comes home in February from neonatal unit, and that seemed fine. Everything was normal. It seemed normal, but it wasn't until the morning or the night before she ended it, and because she allowed the kids to sleep in the bed with her. I didn't. I couldn't do it. It was like I need space. I like to sprawl. And I didn't feel comfortable with it, especially while on my own. I couldn't do it. So kids were in the bed, but because she allowed kids before to sleep in bed. I ended up buying a super king size bed, so at least I'd get some bed in there. And that night before she ended it, I kept trying to cuddle her, and she kept moving to the edge of the bed, like further away from me. And I got to a point where I gave up. I just turned over, and then morning come, and again it was just a normal morning routine. They were no different. We got the kids off to school, nursery, and we came back. We sat down and we were having a cuppa before I had to pop out. And I just went to her and I went, "Were you all right last night?" And she went, "Yeah, why?" And every time I tried cuddling you, you moved further and further away from me. And she went, "Oh yeah, I just wanted to be close to little Miss." I'm like, "Okay then." I went off to work. I think I was doing work that day. I was working that day, and she rings me at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, something about, between 1 and 2 in the afternoon. She goes, "When you come home, I need you to collect your stuff." Why? She went, "I don't love you. I don't hate you. I'd feel nothing towards you now." I went, "But what about my daughter as well? I'd like to see her." She went, "Yeah, when you collect your stuff, you can see her as well." And I'm like, and it was just a shell shock. My daughter's come home after a month of being in hospital. She was about 3 months old at this point, and it was horrible. And I rang around friends to try and find somewhere I could stay. And my mate went, "Yeah, sure." I went, "Listen, mate," I went, "Also, I need a favour. Can you help me go collect my stuff?" He went, "Yeah, yeah." I go up, I collect my stuff, and I cuddle my daughter, and I just turned around and went, "Why?" She went, "I don't know. I just don't feel that way about you no more." I went, "Well, what about Ida?" She went, "But, well, we'll see how that goes." I went, "Okay, well, can I pop in tomorrow? I'm not working tomorrow. I want to see her." She went, "No." "When then?" She went, "Give it a couple of days." I went, "Well, can we not arrange a time now?" She said, "Well, I need to get the kids settled. I need to get the older two settled. They've got to get used to you not being there." I went, "So you're going to," I went, "I get that one, but she's still my daughter. I want to see her." And she was having none of it, and eventually she went, "Yeah, you can pop over on Friday." All right then. And I messaged her asking how my daughter was, going, "Is she okay? Does she need anything?" She went, "No, we're fine. She's okay." Friday come, and I messaged her again, "Can I see my daughter?" And she went, "No, you need to sort your mental health out." I went, "So when can I see my daughter?" And she's like, "I'll let you know." And this is the Friday. This, and the last time I saw my daughter was the 17th of March 2020. This was the Tuesday before the very first lockdown, which was that Friday. And when they announced the lockdown in the evening to it all that was happening then from 5 o'clock, I was like, "What do I do?" The lockdown's here, we can't go anywhere. I'm not at home with my family. And we may, and we're men being men, and we went and brought some alcohol as we do, because, hey, lads, we're bachelors, practically. So we did, we brought a few drinks, and we had a few drinks, and then the Sunday come, And my mate was working at the time, so he was working because he was a carer. Jobs were still available to work for them. And I'd been a carer before, and obviously lockdown was started. I know how desperate we were for carers. I'd already made the phone call to one of the old companies that I worked with, one that my mate works for. When lockdown started, I know you need carers. Let me work. I could do with the distraction, and they were gonna let me know. But this Sunday, the morning I woke up different. Like I had that gut feeling something bad was gonna happen, and I just knew something wasn't right that morning. It was the atmosphere in the whole house. It was only me, but I could feel something wasn't right. And then the afternoon come, and I'm thinking nothing's happened yet. And I won't let me guard down. Thinking, it's just me being stupid. And then I get the phone call from the police, and the guy on the phone, he was cryptic. He just went. He went, "There's been allegations made against you." Okay, what allegations? I can't say. I went, okay then. Well, I need to know what allegations. I went, because what am I being accused of? She went, he went, and again he went, I can't say. I went, okay. So I rang my solicitor up. I rang him up and went, mate, I need your help. The police have just rang me telling me I've been accused of something. And I don't know what. He went, right, send me the officer's number. We'll chase it up. So I did. He chased it up. He rings me back. He goes, the officer's not saying anything for me. Nothing. And I'd been messaging Grace going, what's going on? And I thought, the police has rang me saying I've been an allegation. Have you heard anything? No reply. Okay, then I'll message her, go and find out how my daughter's doing. No reply. Sent her a voice note on WhatsApp. How's my daughter doing? Left me on red. Sent her another one later on in the afternoon going, Grace, will you stop ignoring me, please? I need to know how my daughter's doing. I'm worried here. Next thing I know is my number's blocked. I'm like, something's not right here. So then I found out, and like, I didn't know where to turn. I spoke to my solicitor about it, and he went, you need to ring social. You need to find out where you stand, see if they can offer you, do a welfare check to find out what's going on and everything like that. So I did. I rang social. I rang social services up to find out what's going on. And the guy on the operator on the phone, he went, yeah, there is a case. I mean, what I'll do is I'll get the social worker to give you a call. Okay then. And I waited about 2 weeks for this phone call. I did keep ringing them to go, what's going on, not waiting for this phone call. The social worker rings me back, and she goes, and the word she says was, are you on the birth certificate? I went, yeah, it's my daughter. She went, well, that's good, that makes it easy for me to say. I'm like, well, say what? She went, if you want to do anything with your daughter, you need to do this through family court now. I went, yeah, but the police are saying I've been accused of something. I don't know what to do. And she went, well, give me a second. She went, click, click, click. And she went, yes, you are on the birth certificate. Then why ask, love, if you have this stuff in front of you? And she went, it's of sexual abuse. I know, everything, just panic, fear, came straight over me. And all she said was, we've closed our case. We've got no further action against you. But it's all now down to the police. So I got off the phone to them, and I rang my solicitor back up. And I was speaking to him, and then something clicked. There were a message because it was, again, when they said sexual abuse against the children, I panicked more, because that was like, this is horrible here. This is nasty. And then something clicked on me, was my daughter's eldest sister. She was only 4 at the time, and she couldn't clean herself properly in the bathroom, so she got an infection. And we took her to the doctors, and the doctors told us to put this cream on her. But that was before her mum went into hospital. So we had to still put this cream on, and now I'm watching these because I would take up this parental responsibility. And even when I were a carer, I had one rule, which was I don't do female clients. I don't do one-to-one with female clients. It was privacy for them. It's their dignity. I didn't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
Never have done. It was just, I just couldn't do it. Being my own daughter, it's different. It's the same, the eldest, like my sister's, like my daughter's eldest sister. She's not mine. I couldn't, it's not the same. She's just not my flesh. I couldn't do it. It was her dignity and her privacy. But her mum were in hospital. The only person that could put this cream on was me. So I'm like, I'm panicking, and I knew I had to bite the bullet. I knew I had to bite the bullet. This child needed a cream on. I needed to do it. So I did. Raised my fear, did it. I kept telling her, I'm sorry. It needed to be done. I'm sorry. I'm not happy with it. And the child gave me a cuddle and said, it's okay. But then afterwards I was messaging her mum, telling her how uncomfortable I really felt and what her daughter was doing. So what I'd done was I remembered that message and how uncomfortable I felt doing this. And I'd rang the police officer up as well, because I told my solicitor, he went, tell the officer, he needs to know. So I ring him up, and he just turned around to me and says, it's not important. Yes, this is. I'm being accused of sexual assault on a child here. This is me going, I don't feel comfortable even putting cream on a child. Why would I be comfortable touching a child as well? Well, so I did, and again he said, not interested. So I rang my solicitor back up. He went, you need to put in a complaint. I went, well, let me try him again and see what he says. So I did. And he goes, stop pestering me. I can make this last 4 weeks, 4 days, or 4 months. Stop it. I got a phone. And I did. I thought, I'm going to listen to my solicitor now. I need to put in a complaint. So I did. I rang, I think it's the 101, the non-emergency one.
Is that what you do? Okay.
Yeah, I rang them up, went, listen, I want to put in a complaint. An officer is investigating. I have evidence to show that I didn't feel comfortable in this allegation that's been accused of me. What to do? So the woman took my details, put my complaint. The guy's supervisor then rings me back. And I explained the stuff to her. I went, I've got this text message saying I felt uncomfortable doing this. And she just turned around and went, your officers just said this. And she just went, yeah, no, any evidence that you could provide is useful, no matter how we would have thought. And I went, okay, so he then rings me back, goes, you got that evidence? I went, yes. Do you fancy coming down for a voluntary interview? Yeah, sure. He went, can you print out the evidence and bring it for me? For you? I went, yeah, sure, do. Get down there. And I spoke to my solicitor first, so he found out more. He was finally told everything, and I sat down with him. And the first words of my solicitor he went, Jonah, it's not good. I'm like, okay, well, tell me what it is. He went, and he did, and he went, but first he went, out of all my years of being a solicitor, he went, I've heard allegations been said before. He went, but this one's different. I mean, I've never heard a single allegation like this. I went, okay, just tell me what it was. And he went, I'd supposedly have told her 4-year-old daughter to stick her finger up my ass.
What?
Yeah. And my solicitor's gone, I've never heard of that. Even I'm sitting there and going, what? How is that possible? How would a 4-year-old say something like that? And it confused me. It confused me, but broke me at the same time. I was bawling my eyes out here. I'm crying. I'm going. And I suffered from all aspects of abuse from a child, from physical, emotional, down to sexual abuse as well. And this woman, I loved this woman to bits at the time. I was comfortable around her. She was the first person after 15 years I told my own childhood to. She was the first person I ever told. I trusted her, and these allegations was then made, which broke me even more, was my trust that had just been destroyed. So...
Is this still ongoing, or is it?
No, this is all done. It took the officers the officers 2 days to get back to me to tell me no further action. And to me, I felt like a huge weight was lifted off my shoulder. I'm thinking,
Well, it would be.
brilliant. I can go see my daughter.
Yeah.
I want on bail because I was never on bail. I never did anything, so I did. I thought things are fine. I didn't know about. I already started the proceedings to go in. I filled out all the forms, got them all sent off, paid for it all, waiting, and I went up, and it were a Father's Day. I went up as well. Of all the days, I went up the Father's Day. I think the voluntary interview was like something like the 14th of April, and I went up that Sunday. So I went up, and I'd knocked on, and what I was like, I'd heard friends going, well, be careful. Friends were going, be careful when you're going up, because again, they can see you being this, being that. So I'm like, I'm not risking it. I'll ring the police before I go. I'm going up. I'm worried that stuff's going to get said. I said, I need officers there as witnesses, please. No, we haven't got the resources to deal with that one. Okay, then. Fine. But I'm still going to get it locked. You've told us, just in case, we'll now know. So as I was leaving, I rang my other friend up. She lives up Scotland. I rang her up. Went, listen, do you mind if I call you back, but record the call, so you can hear what's going on as well? And she went, yeah, sure. So I did. Rang her up. We're recording the call. Go up. Knocked on the door. Asked to see my daughter. I went, I'm just going to sit here on the doorstep until you let me see my daughter. I'm sitting there, and I'm still on the phone to my friend, and I went, give me 2 seconds. I'm going to merge the calls. You can speak to the officer as well. So I did, rang that, and I put her on hold, rang the police, merged the call. I went, listen, you're in call with my friend. The call is recorded as well. She was like, there, that's fine. I went, right, this is what's going on here. I want to see my daughter. There's no court order. I'm not on bail. I'd like to see my daughter, please. I've got parental rights. I'm on the birth certificate. 2 officers turn up. Not for me, but because she rang up telling them that I was kicking off. And I wasn't kicking off. I was nice and calm. The recordings were nice and calm. And the officers were helpful. They wasn't bad. These 2 wasn't. When that guys turned around, I went, listen, I'm going through something similar. He went, I'm all for you seeing your daughter, but at the end of the day, she's in her house. You can't do anything. And I'm like, okay, what can I do? They went, legal. When I've already got the process for that, he went, that's all we can do. We went, just move along, because we can arrest you for disturbing the peace right now. She's already rang up saying that you're kicking off. You're clear as day wasn't kicking off, but we still have, but because you're still here and you want to see your daughter, we will have to. It's your choice. So I did. I went, you know what, I'm off. I am not risking anything for a biscuit. I couldn't.
So that relationship at that point is
it gone.
Done. Yeah,
within less than a week.
After putting in all that effort and time, supporting the kids while she was going through
stepping
that.
up, being a dad, and the allegation was supposed to have happened while I was watching the kids. And I put all that effort. I stepped up, and I had neighbours and teachers come up to going, you're doing epic. Most people wouldn't have done that. They'd have sent them off to the grandparents as soon as they could have. But they're not your kids. You have no right over them, but yet you still chose to watch them. It was terrible. It was.
So we've said the relationship now with your ex is all done and dusted.
Yeah.
Going forward, what's it like, say, over the next 6 months? Have you managed to remain in contact with your child?
With my daughter, that was hard. That didn't go well. I took her to court. I took her to court. I attended the first hearing, and I walked in there, and it were on Teams. I think it was on Teams, and when I say I got arse raped, excuse the language, but I did. I walked in. She had I joined the Teams, and she's there with a solicitor, and everything like that on this call, and They're straight away out of the top, straight section 7. They want CAFCAS involved. CAFCAS had to do their assessments, and all based on these allegations. That was not fact. That was NFA'd because she, and then it was straight no indirect contact, which was every 3 weeks. I was meant to get an update from whatever my daughter was doing. And I wasn't even allowed pictures at this first hit. They wouldn't even allow me to have pictures or anything. And I can't say she was playing ball, because it wasn't. It was, I'd set a calendar on my phone every 3 weeks. Boom, wait for the update. Every 3 weeks, wait for an update, I did. And some would be 2 weeks later. There'd be a week where I wouldn't receive anything. And I'd have to wait 6 weeks then before I get anything. I'm like, I can't do this. I need a solicitor. And I sold majority of the things I could sell just to afford to pay for that deposit for a solicitor. And I'd ring when I sorted it out, got a solicitor, and she got looked at the court forms and every paperwork going. And she turned around to me and she went, they shouldn't have done half of this. Again, before they issued Section 7, they should have done a finding of facts hearing to prove these allegations, but they didn't. And so just off the bat, it was all messed up. It was all one-sided. And we go back to court, and again, eventually I will allow pictures every month. Again, they were late as well. Nothing. And then we got to then we finally eventually got we asked for, the judge turned around to her and went, you now have a choice to carry on with these allegations, even though there was NFA'd. You have to provide the evidence and everything. So it's up to you, carry on with it. And she chose to carry on with it. So we requested police disclosures through. As normal, we requested everything through. And I spent a day at my solicitor's. The appointment was at 10 o'clock. I didn't get out till 6:30 that night. We went through every paperwork going that she had submitted. It got to one of the parts before, when I was going back to when I was being questioned by the police, when I went for the voluntary interview, they raised that a teacher had come forward with this statement. And this teacher's statement, it was weird, because she was like, he had a pattern, because I dated 2 parents that went to school, my daughter's mum and my ex prior to that. And I had 2 parents that kids attended that school that both had mental health issues, and they saw that as a pattern. But the ex before then, we went to high school together and we rekindled. I'd known my daughter's mum for 8 years prior. How is that a pattern? Because I knew before they went to that school. Their kids went to that school. And then there were another thing that she said was, because of my ACEs, the percentage for me being a perpetrator was very high. And this statement was also used in court. And when we got the police disclosure through, even the officers said they didn't request this statement. The officers turned up when she phoned the police. This teacher turned up when the police arrived at hers the same day. So she didn't even manage to, my daughter's mum didn't even manage to give a statement. And this teacher turned up with a statement ready. And she got crushed at the fact-finding hearing, because they went, well, again, how is it a pattern? He knew him before. It's not a pattern. And again, you turned up with this. You're saying that being a perpetrator from someone who suffers from ACEs as a male is high. And they quoted it from the medical journal, I think it was. And she said something like it was like 0.5% of a chance of an adult from a child becoming a perpetrator as an adult. And we were like, that percentage isn't high at all. And so she was shot down the flames, and we got stuff through, and during this, because before you go for a fact-finding hearing, you have to do a Scott schedule. And everything has to be set out in date, in order, and evidence had to be produced. And again, she was relying on these police disclosures from what she told the officers. And I said I spent the day at my solicitor. We went through every police disclosure through, and we kept coming up is the officers asked direct questions, indirect questions to both kids, asking them if I had done anything to them or they had done anything to me. And the kids went, no, nothing. And I'm reading this. This is great. This is going on here. I'm happy for this. Fact-finding comes and allegations were not found. But at this point of just before the fact-finding hearing, I got with my son's mum at the time. But through all this, she met me through the supported living, because I broke down when these allegations. Mentally, I was done. We were locked down. I was isolated from everyone. I was on my own. And a friend of mine had been in this place, and he'd recommended it to me. And I just turned around and I went, do they do mental health and stuff like that? And they went, yeah. I went, can you speak to them, see if they'll take me? And they went, yeah. I went, I need the help. I can't do this on my own. And I were in this supported living place, and it wasn't. They offered some support, but not the support I actually needed to deal with my mental health side. And it came to the point. I went on TikTok live. I was going live, and I met my son's mum on there, and she was just chatting away with me one night on my live. And this night, I was ready to go. I was done. I were on tramadol for my back. I were on trazodone, which is my mental health medication, and I popped them all out. I was ready to give up. I was done fighting my kid. I wasn't allowed to see my kid. This is killer for me. I was torture. And she joined my live that night, and we were chatting away. We were having a giggle, and I ended the live. And my head just went sideways, and I was ready to go again. I'm ready to do it all. And I just joined TikTok was a distraction for me not to do it. And I came off, and the feelings were still there and wanted to do it. And I got this message on TikTok saying, ring me with this number. And again, with it being a social media, I was expecting it to be a fake. I went, oh, I'll ring you in the morning, love, it'll be right. As I do. And she went, no, ring me now. All right, then. Rang her up, and she went, don't do it. Just don't do it. You have so much to live for. And I went, but I don't. I went, again, I say mud doesn't stick, it stains. My name has been dragged through the mud so bad that this is now my daughter. My daughter, being in my daughter's life is having an effect, and she's so supportive. She was. She talked to me till God knows what time in the morning. I cried to her, and we're speaking for months. And out of the blue one day, she just goes, "Come down." Okay. You know what else have I got to lose?
Yeah.
You know, and it was really immature of me to think about it, and I did. I went, either way, this woman's just spoke to me, tried to stop me from killing myself. If she's a serial killer, hey, either way, she's doing the job for me.
No one else is offering any sort of support.
I'm ready to go, me. I'm ready to pack it in. You know, my name's been tarnished. I'm sitting there going, all my daughter's going to know is I'm a monster.
So you went down and...
I went down, and it turns out she isn't a serial killer. But, and don't get me wrong, on the train, I was petrified. I mean, this complete stranger. I mean, yes, I've travelled up and down the country, I've seen the world, but I'm meeting this stranger after, this is during lockdown, where we're not supposed to, but I still did. And again, it's these allegations. Again, I'm worried what's going on. I've been open and honest with everyone about this. And I met her in the train station, and I still joke about it to this day. Was my first thoughts when I met her was, oh fuck, she's a lesbian. I was judging her by the way she just looked. She had short hair. The way her hair was cut, she looked very butch loving. Looking, sorry, not loving. And it turns she's definitely not a lesbian. And we got together and she had socially involved with her, but it was a totally different reason. And we spoke and she went, and she told me about it and she went, it's your choice to run. I went, love, you had a chance to run knowing my stuff. I went, I've lost people because of it, and not because of the allegations and the lies. And I went, but you chose to stick by. I went, I ain't gonna run. I'll face this. And she went, okay. And the next day, I rang the social worker up, told her everything, told her literally all the allegations, told her that I've got a pending fact finding here, and she went, that's fine. You can stay in the house, just not have being unsupervised with the kids. I went, okay, it's fine. She went, you've been honest with me, but it's fine. She'd then left, and we got this new social worker, and she wasn't nice. I'm not playing innocent in this, because I had an impact, and a reason why she didn't like me was where we was. Now, my mental health had gone a lot better. I mean, I was still living in the supported living, but it wasn't any time I'd come back. My mood had just dropped. I wasn't happy. I didn't feel right. And I don't know, down there, and I just got a letter from my online thing from my doctors that's discussing what my mental health was, and all I did was change the date on it and handed it to the social worker like it was legit. And she went, it's fake. We've spoken to the doctor. The doctor had left. I'm like, fuck. That's my only words was fuck. And I knew I'd fucked up. So, I messed up. Literally owned up to it. I went, yeah, I messed up. And she went, right, well, I can't have you in the house because you've lied about this. It's important. No, I'm like, all right then. And then when I came up north, I'll speak to her on the phone. I went, so why, by me lying, you can't really say I'm lying because that's a risk. I went, why else am I risk? She went, your allegations. And at this time, when she said these allegations, when she mentioned about me being a risk because of these allegations, I was not found in family court of these sexual abuse allegations. Now, her words then was, well, not found, not proven, not guilty doesn't mean it didn't happen. And it confused me because I'm like, hang on a minute, then all this effort I've put in to go to these fact-finding hearing to clear my name was for what? Really, it was, if it don't mean it hasn't cleared my name, it means these allegations are still hanging over me. So I ran my solicitor and went, told her what she's just said. And she just turned around to me and she went, no, Jonah, family court are binary. Either it happened or it didn't happen. There's no in between. So if you was, as it says on the paperwork, you were not found, which means it didn't happen. No, the social worker didn't take it at all. And during this time, I was still going through proceedings, and I put myself on a 2-parenting course. I did an online one, which yes seems a lot easier for people to do, but I didn't think I learned anything from it. So then I had to push myself to do a face-to-face one. Now, for me, I'd recommend any person to do this parenting one. I know, it's because it teaches you how to communicate with kids, because kids don't listen. Kids know to say the right words and do things that get on your nerves.
They want what they want.
Yeah, and this taught you ways, rather than losing shit with them, to find other ways to communicate. And it helped. I'm not going to say, my son's mum had other kids and they were teenagers, and teenagers definitely know how to rattle your cages, and it was the slamming of the doors that got to me more. And I was the one that had gone, you're carrying on slamming the doors, I'm going to take them off the hinges. And her eldest lad, and he kept slamming the door, and the door frame kept coming away from the mutt-wall, and I lost it. And I went to him, I'm taking your goddamn door off its hinges now. Got the drill, went upstairs, took door straight off. Now then he's there kicking off and going, well, what about my privacy? Kiddie, you can have your privacy. I let the door up as an angle over the door frame, got a sheet, covered the sides up, went, you've got your privacy now. And all I want you to do is to come and apologise to me for slamming your door. It's causing damage that we have to repair. When it's an old house, it's barely holding on. And he apologise. Sometimes, yes, it would last a couple of days, depending on how stubborn he was. But again, as soon as he apologised, door went back on. Social was saying that I was invasion of his privacy, saying that I could have done it better. Well, at the time, I didn't. I didn't do my course.
It's called parenting.
Yeah, I'm going to fail at some things. But then I learned through doing this parenting course that actually, you know what, I could have gone a better way around this. And I said and we were going through, it was a PLO, which is, so with social, you have children in need, which is not that serious, child protection, which is serious. Then you've got pre-proceedings, which is just before the courts. And now, obviously, we're at the court stage. So at these pre-proceedings, the social worker stopped. Social worker, when I asked for contact from his, because this happened when I came back up, when the social worker said I'm at risk, this happened in January, I think it was early 2022 it was. And we found out she was pregnant with little Mam at the time. So obviously I was up here, I'd sort of started my parenting course as well. So I was doing that and going down south and having my PLO meetings, and they'd allow me to see little Mam. But the PLO proceedings didn't actually start until a year later. And we're like, well, this ain't right here. You're stopping me from seeing... She's broke. They've turned around to it. The social worker turned around to my son's mum. And I was on video call when I heard it was, you either stay with Jonah or we take your kids.
At what point did you two get together?
When we got together, this was...
With the second partner?
Oh, my second one. This would have been February time, 2021.
Okay.
So we were together a year, and we'd done a lot in that year. We're going to say...
And that was... So after you initially went down...
It was... Yeah, I went down and met her. I met her... No, it was February. Yeah, I went down in January. And then February time, we decided, you know what? We like each other.
Okay.
And... the relation, even now, I still say she saved me, because at the end of the day, I was going to end it that night. She saved me. The relationship, it was beautiful. She got me off my ass. She got me out to do things. I'm a hermit. If I'm not going to work, I ain't leaving my house. And she got me out. She got me out to do things. We travelled up and down the country. We went to Scotland with the kids. She came up here to Yorkshire. We went to Hebden Bridge. We did everything. We went for walks. This was amazing. It was beautiful. The banter was, because of the areas we live in, the way we say things is totally different. Like the arguments we would have would be so basic on, like for me it would be breakfast, dinner, tea. But she would call it breakfast, lunch, dinner. And it was and then it would be Ginnell, and I call it a Ginnell, she'd call it an alleyway and Snicket, and these are the things that we would argue about. As banter, she gave it and gave it just as bad as I was, but she was brutal with the comebacks, so much, and she made me feel at home. I felt at home. I felt part of the family. I felt wanted. She even, before little man was come, it was Father's Day. And and she had 3 kids there, and they got me Father's Day presents, and I cried my eyes out, was because, again, it was another Father's Day. I'd not seen my daughter. This was before little man, and I'm crying my eyes out because she made it so special for me that it felt like that these kids was my own. And I never saw them as my stepkids. I don't. They were my bonus kids, because they was the bonus part of my life. And it was amazing. And then I wrote this letter, and again, yes, she said, she couldn't trust me. Yes, I changed the date, but again, she couldn't trust me. And I knew I messed up, and I knew I did. And then the social worker with her turned around and going, you have to stay with him or I'm taking your kids. She forced us to separate. I mean, even Leanne said we could have moved past it. And I said all the way the same. If the social told her to choose between me or the kids, you choose the kids. No matter what, you choose those kids. I am happy to be shoved to one side for those kids because those kids are priority. And then we found out she was pregnant. And again, it was beautiful.
So you found out after you've already separated?
Yeah. And I'd still come down, I'd pay for ultrasounds for us to have, and we seen little man and his face, and we weren't getting together, but the friendship was amazing again. It was beautiful. You know, it was something. We were amicable. We'd talk, everything like that. And then when the social worker still put it in her head, got into her head that it was down to her to be at the birth of my son. And in the midst, and the same social worker got into her head and got her to write a letter, was saying that I was controlling the situations whenever the social worker was there. Because again, I did. I'm not going to lie, it wasn't out of controlling behaviour or domestic abuse. It was the social worker had a negative impact on her. Leanne turned around and said to her that her mental health was bad. She went, she needs help with her mental health. She told the social worker this, and the social worker just said, "You're a mum. You have to get over it." I'm like, I get you, yeah, okay, some parts you can. Yes, you've got to get up and be there for your kids, but you're a social worker.
If someone's asking for help, they're asking for help.
Yeah, you're a social worker. You're not just there for the kids, you're there for the family. A mother is going, I need help with my mental health. Your job is to keep the family together. And you're destroying the woman by saying this. And the same social worker got into it about who can be there at the birth, that it got to the point during a child protection conference, after the child protection conference, Leanne got me to email the chairman to ask who can be there at the birth. The chairman went, it's down to Leanne who can be there. If she wants you there, the social worker and the midwife team have to put conjunctions in place. Okay then. Do we do? The social workers then turned around and said I was bullying her into letting me be there at the contact. We all went, no. She wanted me there. This is the birth of my son. Yes, we're there for the birth of my daughter, but again, I ain't going to have his birth again. She want me there, and his birth, she allowed it, but it was literally under protest. She even said it was under protest. She tried putting in safety plans, saying that I wasn't allowed anywhere near the house. And we were like, we don't agree with your safety plans at all. If my son comes home, we don't agree to your safety plans. And so we thought, again, we got agree with the safety plan. So we thought, you're going to maybe work something else out, work with us to work around this thing, but she had none. Leanne's not well. She's got an autoimmune disease, so she's prone to infections. And when they tested her for, I think it was strep B. Both her and my son, after they were born, they tested positive for strep B. She tested positive first. So she were on a room, literally by herself. But this room was literally by the main door, which means the buzzer was going all hours. It kept getting slammed shut. I don't know how little man managed to sleep in that room. I managed to go there during the days, during visiting hours, and it was horrible. And she were on her own. She was isolated because she couldn't be around anyone else because she had strep B. And we took in enough clothes for a few days because we expected her to be in there for a couple of days, but no. She were in there for 8 days. And if it wasn't for me coming and going back to hers, bringing clothes, she were on their own. And at one point, it was 3 days after she'd given birth to my son, I'd nipped back because she needed more stuff. And she rings me, and she's in tears. I went, is everything all right, love? What's happened? She went, social worker's been. I went, right. She went, they've said, she's just turned around to me and said, basically, we're going to PLO, we're going to the PLO, we're going to take your son. I went, this is the social worker. She went, yeah. And we were due, it's a safeguarding review meeting for anyone that's on a child protection plan before they leave the hospital. They have to have one. And she didn't want to be in the room. And she told the midwife team she doesn't want to be there when the social worker's there, because she's just said this 3 days after she's just had a C-section for my son. Also got strep B, and she's on God knows what antibiotics as well. But also then my son. That was just cruel. And so she went, oh, well, we've also got a safeguarding meeting this day. I went, okay. She went, I don't want to be part of it. Well, you don't have to be, love. Tell the midwife team you don't want to be part of it. Go somewhere else. I will sit in there. I will take part in this. So I did. And I said to her, we don't agree with your safety plan, because they went, you're not allowed near the house while your son's there. I went, ain't happening. My son's just been born. She needs the extra help she can get. No. She's not doing it. Anyway, well, then we'll have to take you to pre-proceedings. Let's go. Let's go, because we were being gaslit by her. She'd say to us stuff that was positive, and then when it came to the meetings, everything was negative. There were no positive things about this woman, everything. But the same social worker, now, I've worked in care, and there are only so much you can tell your clients. This social worker, I knew, from what she told me, I knew where she lived, how many dogs she owned, how old she had her first child at, how old's her youngest child, and where he went to uni, why her and her husband live separately, how many cars she's got, to the point she even went on holiday and had an affair on her husband with a work colleague. And it even came back, she even turned around and told us that she had a foot fetish. And this is a social worker sharing this much information.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is too personal for us. I don't want to know half of this stuff, love. But no, she carried on, and we ended up going to pre-proceedings in January. We celebrated it was his first Christmas of him being born. And again, we didn't follow this safety plan. We didn't agree with it. And then January come, and I started my parenting at the group one in January. So I'd come back up here, up north. And while I was down there, the social worker was there. And the social worker, and she got Leanne to write this letter saying that I was controlling when the social was there. I was doing everything that, I was taking charge of it all. She made me sound like I was being controlling and coercive. And I was like, this email's bull. And I said, no, this ain't right. I ain't accepting no domestic abuse toward her, because they don't exist. She went, yes, but we've got this email. We've now got evidence. I went, yeah, you've got this thing, but again, it's being misinterpreted.
So did they eventually take the child?
Yeah. Jay, little man, and his brother was taken on the 18th of September 2023, last year. And no matter what, we fought tooth and nail. With the proceedings, we were doing well. But it was like this social worker had it in for us. She stopped me having contact with my son. She offered at first supervised contact at the social services centre, and I went, yeah, sure. And I had that for about 3 weeks, and she went, we're not doing it no more. And we're going through pre-proceedings, and I'd finished my parenting course. And the social worker, and I said to them during these pre-proceedings, I've done my parenting course. The social worker turned around and went, well done, now you can put it into practice. I went, well, you going to let me see my son then? And she went, no. And well, how am I going to put it in practice? She went, well, that's for you to work out. This ain't right. And this had gone on for a full year. And I thought I'd make progress. I would get my mental health sorted out. The things that they said were issues was my mental health, my parenting style. And I was doing things to better myself. And eventually we got this caught, and all the way through it come to like the start of January. And I literally got, it were an email from the social worker saying that they were taking us to court. And they were issuing an interim care order. I'm like, shit. So I rang Leanne. And at this point, she wasn't answering, so I'm like, I don't know what to do. I rang my solicitor because it said you can ring a legal team. And I'd rang my solicitor up, and she was like, yes, Jonah, this is normal. Just wait. And we had a proceeding, we had a meeting, we had a hearing that morning on the 18th of September, I think it was. And my son's mum didn't answer, didn't join the meeting. I'm like, and they're all going, where is she, John? I went, I don't have a clue. We've not spoken. I don't have a clue here. What's going on? And I was ringing. I tried ringing WhatsApp, not going through. Normal ring, not going through. Withheld, nothing. Rang her on Facebook. It got thrown. Where are you? She went, I'm in Scotland. I'm like, yeah, we had a hearing this morning. She went, yeah, I know. I told the social worker. I told my solicitor. She went, I told my solicitor I've changed my number. I went, yeah, but you didn't tell anyone else. She went, I don't need to tell anyone else. You do. These proceedings, everyone needs to know everything. And she was having none of it. And we got back to court because the hearing got adjourned till the evening, till 4 o'clock. So we joined back at 4, and the judge is going, where are you? Where are you? And she's like, just let me keep my kids, please. Just let me keep my kids. And she's crying, and I wanted to as well. I said, I want you to just tell them I'm missing. And going, just tell them where you are, please. It won't be as bad if you're honest with them. And she's crying. And the judge turned around and went, I don't take kindly to being blackmailed. He went, you've just blackmailed me by telling me that if you let me keep your kids, you'll tell me where you are. That's not the case. That's not how this works. So he issued an interim care order. And because obviously she was blackmailing, she didn't inform properly, they issued a recovery order. Because Scotland has a different jurisdiction, there needs to be an interim care order for them to go collect the kids, so they did. And I'm sat here on video call with the courts, hearing the judge saying this, and I watched, and how I felt was I've let my family down was because their issues was my allegations. This social worker had deemed me a risk, which affected my daughter, because she'd wrote a risk assessment knowing that I was cleared from the allegations, deemed me a risk because of these allegations, which with CAFCAS have been involved as well. CAFCAS was like, well, hang on a minute, Judge. Social worker seems him a risk. We can't have him around kids. Judge went around and went, you complete your parenting course, get a positive risk assessment, come back to court. So right, so I failed at that. I got indirect contact. I get an email update every 3 months. I seem to get a photo every 6 months now for some reason. But again, I can't do anything is because my son's in foster care. And if I go back to court now, again, I went back again, then I'm not going to see my daughter. But it was painful because, I'm watching my shit destroy my family. The one place I felt home, I felt happy, and it was taken from us. And then Liam rang me that evening when the police was there to collect my son and his brother. And I still remember it, and I'm listening in, and Leanne screaming her eyes out, her heart out, crying. Her mum is. My son's brother is, and my son's totally oblivious. She's going, he's asleep. Let me put him in his chair. He's asleep, and they took him, and I heard the dog go, and I'm hearing Leanne crying, and I'm there, I'm bawling my eyes out, I'm on my own, she's got a mum, and I just witnessed my son being taken, my son's life, his family being split up, because, again, my shit had destroyed it. And that's how I saw it, is my shit had destroyed my family. Yes, it wasn't my shit. I didn't start it all, but it followed me. And I broke again, and I struggled, and that night, I wrote 23 letters to everyone I cared about, because I needed to give up, and I needed to, and Liam rang a mate of mine, and he turned up, literally, I didn't even hear him press the buzzer. I don't even think he pressed the buzzer. And he just walked in my door as I'd just finished licking the last envelope. And he just comes cuddle me and goes, "Mate, it's okay. You've got to fight." But I didn't see that. I just see it as, again, I've destroyed my family. The only place I felt home and happiness is gone. And I wanted to go, and I wanted to end it all. And it kind of reminded me that I'm just going to... Well, he just turned around to me and went, "You're just going to give up?" Just like that. He went, "How far you've gone for your daughter and everything you've done, and you're going to give up on him." He went, "Jonah, you're going to the one place you know you'll thrive in," and that was court. Because all through these proceedings, even for my daughter, I've sat there and I've researched. I read the children's law from the beginning all the way up, because I just wanted to dig and research into it to know where I stood. And he sat with me for a couple of days. He stayed for a few days, and he just let me cry and smash shit up and do everything. And when I was done, I felt a lot better. Like, I got all that anger out, and I knew then that I was hurting, and the pain, I had to put it in something more productive. And because I wasn't going to allow my son to go into care, I knew that was the final option. Care is not an option for me. It never is and never will be. And through these proceedings, I've supported his mum. I've supported his mum. I've gone, I want my son and his brother to return back home. And it wasn't because I didn't want him in my care. I'm happy for him to be in my care. How I saw it is I know I'm important as a dad. I know I'm just as important as the mum. But the stuff that his mum can teach him, the love, the compassion, is amazing. And the other thing that stopped me was his siblings. My son comes with me. He's going to be away from all his siblings. His family to me is everything, because I've not had a family in my life. I've never known what a true home was until Leon showed me it. And I had admin support and going, I want my son home with his mum. Me, if she or the courts refuse, then I'm happy to take him. And I'm a hermit. I don't have many friends, and the friends I've got, they're not exactly mature enough to deal with, to ask to take my son. I had a friend, and I knew he would have taken it in a heartbeat, but he wasn't here. He took his own life, so I had to deal with all that as well and keep going. But the best part, as I can say from this, is I spent 3 months in my son's life. I mean, he was a year. A month after he was taken into care, we celebrated his first birthday in a contact centre, supervised. And I was happy when because we pushed for contact, we pushed for some form of contact, because I've not spent time with my son. And at that time, well, it still is now, is I go to a lot of mental health groups, and I facilitate one as well, because I wanted to give back for those that have helped me with my mental health. And seeing my son, like, when I went down, that they pushed, and I wanted it middle of the week. For some reason, the middle of the week seems perfect for me, is because it's literally the middle of the week. I can plan my whole week around. I can enjoy the moment after I've seen him, but then also count down and get the excitement of the day I go see him. And seeing him is a trek. It's I'm awake from 4 a.m. on a Wednesday morning, every Wednesday, 4 a.m. to catch a 4-hour train down for 2 hours to come all the way back. But in those 2 hours, there's nothing that bothers me. Anyone can give me any bad news, and I have had before. But when I go to that contact, and I'm seeing the smile on his face and the mischievous things he does while he's in that contact, it was the same with my daughter. There's no stress, no worry, nothing. And I cherish the moment I spent with him. Because at the same time, I'm afraid of it being the last.
What's your relationship like with your daughter's mum at the moment?
My daughter's mum, she changed. She became, and I don't want to diagnose her without actually the proper things, but she became the signs. It was an abuser. Since little mum was born, I'd be giving her 240 quid a month. That to me, and it was that high. Yes, it's more than what most people would pay for child maintenance. But because she had other kids, she couldn't claim child benefit for him. And at the time, child benefit was 240 quid. And I just said to her, when child benefit's this much, here, have it for my son. Yes, it's going to leave me short, but I did. But I carried on when little mum went up for adoption. Well, for fostering, not adoption. Adoption definitely not going to happen for foster. Because she kept saying she had no money. She kept saying it. And the social was paying for her travel, and it was literally a train ticket, a weekly pass. They were paying for her contact sessions. And all she had to do in these contact sessions, out of her own money, was buying the sweets, the drinks, the pop for him. And I didn't. At this time, I'd have to pay for my own tickets. I'd pay for my own contact. And not only that, I had to pay for my bills. I had to pay for her. And I mean, it did come to a point where they said, we're going to start pay for your contact now, which is even better. They're going to pay for my contact and my travel, which is even better. But my son's mum, when I told her she wasn't getting any money, at this point, she'd be getting 150 quid off the social, my 250, her money as well. And I'm like, I don't need to send you it. No. But then the icing on the cake for me was when she decided to go to Turkey. And yeah, I mean, we were all allowed to go on holiday. I wouldn't mind that one. I'm not going to lie, I went away. It was the timing that she went on holiday, because she went midweek. And it wasn't like a midweek as in a Wednesday. This was a Tuesday when she saw my son on a Tuesday. And she cancelled contact just so she can go on holiday. And I was like, that's what also was the icing on the cake for me, was like, how many, you've got money to burn if you're going on holiday, especially to Turkey. No, I'm not giving you no more money. And I was polite through it. I said, you don't want my son. And she told me from December that she didn't want my son. But she never told a professional. She never told a professional until that night. Well, because in the morning I told her she was getting no money off me. And that night she had joint contact, and she told social, well, the family time worker, that I was dictating to her by telling her that until my son returns to her care, she wasn't getting any money. And all of a sudden I became controlling, coercive. But in all her statements, despite the letter that she'd done, despite all the statements and everything like that, she turned around and told the courts that there was no domestic abuse. And now she's saying that I'm being coercive, I'm being controlling. And I'd sat back, and I spoke to my sister about it. And she went, Jono, I've got something to tell you, but you're the one that's being abused. You're being financially abused, you're being coerced, emotionally blackmailed. Again, she's saying it's for your son, and you're thinking it's for your son, but she's going to spend it on what? I went, well, that's the thing I don't know. She went, but that's what we're raising is, you're being abused, and And I sat back and I read the texts from her, and I kind of realised at the same time that it's true, but how could I have let this happen? How could I have sat there and let this happen? I mean, I work in security now. So I see, my job is to watch everyone. And why didn't I clock it? And yes, I was blind with love. I was. And I still love her to bits, but the woman I fell in love with is not the same woman I fell in love with back then. She's evil, she's self-centered. And it's horrible and it's scary. And I'm panicking now is because she's turning around to me and also in a message going, this can go one of two ways. The courts will see it as controlling. I'm thinking, what else can she say? Am I now going to deal with another ex that's going to deal with false allegations? It's scary, but I was worried. And I'd gone to my doctors. I'm gone, what do I do about it? And same with my solicitor, they went, I need to talk to a social worker. But I didn't want to talk to the social worker because at the time we got a new social worker at this point. And he was the same as the previous one, was not found, not proven, not guilty, didn't happen. But at the same time, every time I was on the phone to him to discuss things, it was like he wanted to get on the phone to me. But the icing on the cake for me was the social. My son's foster carer wants to take a little man on holiday next month. And we were like, you know what? Fine, money's tight for us. Help us pay towards it. And the judge just turned around and went, social will pay for it. So they did. They paid for my son's passport, and the social worker, he just turned around. He sent me 3 emails once, and 2 of the emails were the content. It was the ID part of my son's passport, and the significant part of the passport. That's everything. And the second email was to me and his mum, telling us this is the passport. But it was his first email that I went absolutely ballistic for, because it was to me the same content, which is my son's ID, but it was to a complete stranger. And 13 minutes after he sent the second email, the 13 minutes after he sent the first email was a third email, just him saying, it's a recall, do not look at that email and delete it, was to me and this random person. I'm giving it, you've sent that 13 minutes later. Once you realised it was the first time you sent it, should send it straight away, but he didn't. And I rang him up and went, my son's passport. He went, I know. I went, it's a data protection breach. He went, it is. I went, I was not nice to him. I'll gotta admit, I didn't have a chance to calm down. I rang him straight away and I just said to him, went, I'm ending your career. And he went, I know. I got a phone to him. I rang my solicitor, told her what's going on. She chased it up. I went straight to the DPO. Oh, what's wrong with me now? Sorry. It's been long. To the data protection people. And it took them 4 weeks to get back to me. 4 weeks, and the local authority just turned around and went, they didn't see it as a data protection breach, they saw it as a genuine mistake. I get it's a genuine mistake, yes. But again, he's got it typed in the first letter, click, press send, then relook. Again, how is that not data protection? It's my son's ID. But the same day, I'd emailed, no, it wasn't, yeah, so it was their manager. It was his manager that said they didn't see it as a data protection breach. Then DPO turned around and emailed me back going, it is a data protection breach, and he's be leaving the job on Friday. I'm like, even better. Friday come, and he's gone. He'd went. But I'm then starting to panic is because they're paying for my son's tickets. This is the social worker here. What's going on here? So I rang up the social worker, rang up the local authority, because the manager's already emailed me. I had her number, so I rang her and I'm going, you guys sort out my son's ticket. I need to get to see my son. They were like, yeah, we'll sort it. I'll sort it. Tell me which station. So I did. And I emailed her the Tuesday asking if it's been sorted. No answer. Okay then. I then emailed her Wednesday morning. I got to 9 o'clock and I'm ringing the hell out of her, going, I want to see my son. And she gets back to me Thursday evening, apologising because she sent it to admin, but it was admin sent it back to her and it was sitting in her inbox. I went, so I can't see my son. And she went, no, but we'll make it up for you. And that's where I said to him, that's when she turned, my son's mum turned around and said basically she don't want contact on a Tuesday with him. She's pushing my son away.
Yeah. So, what are your prospects going forward with your with your exes, your daughter?
So, so how I'm seeing it as right now is I have it all set. Is what I need to do is, because I need my son home. His mum says she doesn't want him because she doesn't want to give up her freedom. She don't want to have to look for babysitters so she can go out. She's basically said she doesn't want to bond with him. Now, for me, but she wants him to stay with the foster carer down south and for an open adoption so she can go and see him whenever she wants. So in other words, how I saw it, she wants the privilege of being a parent to be able to see him whenever she wants, but she doesn't want the responsibility. Now, for me, that's not the case. I'm willing to give up everything, work, my party life, I don't have a party life, but, going out with friends, doing stuff. I'd rather be at home with my son, doing everything for him. I'm pushing for that. And then once I've got some form of contact for my son, I'd be going back to court for my daughter. Because I'll be going back to court because at the moment I'm doing a counselling degree because I want to, mental health is big myself, I've suffered from it. I want to give back to that and help support that, but I want to do the childhood side of it all. Because how I want to see it as is, how can I bring my kids to open up and talk to me and heal if I can't do that myself? And regarding any sort of relationship with my kids' parents is how I feel the love I feel for my son and my daughter outweighs any feelings for them. And I said this in a group not too long ago, is my kids, and I say it all the time, my exes are my exes. And we all don't like us exes, we all really don't. But how I feel about my exes as the mother of my children, that comes from a place of love. Is they carried my child for 9 months. They looked after him. Even despite these allegations, yes, that she took the right path, but I know, especially with my daughter's mum, with my daughter, she's got a sibling. She's happy. She's laughing. She's looked after. If she changes her mind, my son's mum, and she wants him home, and the courts agree, then it's the same. The love I feel for her as the mother of my child outweighs what she's done to me, especially with the financial abuse, her deciding that she don't want my son. Despite all that, I still love these women to bits, because again, they have brought me a massive bundle of joy into this world. So I now see it as, you need to be amicable with them. Any grievance you've got between each other has to be put to one side. The kids are innocent in this. They don't have to see any of the nastiness and the toxicity between couples. It needs to be for their sake. And I hope that going back into court and getting things sorted out, it's showing that is the thing. And then when I'm saying going back into court for my daughter, is I'm going in there with my counselling degree, my parenting courses I've done, and I have a full custody or some form of custody for my son, which gives my daughter's mum what ammo, really, because I'm going in there doing nothing but better myself for the last 4 years. Every progression has been, I and I've said it before, is I'm not where I want to be. But the one thing I can say is I'm further than where I am. And without quoting a shopping brand, I can't. It's every little helps. It's every little step I have taken, every little progression I have taken has been one step closer to those kids, because I can't live without them. My life revolves around them. You take them from me, I am a shell of a man. I'm not who I am. And having them in my life means the more than anything else in the world. And if I could, and it's progressing to being a dad is giving up everything to provide for what he needs.
Okay. I think we're pretty much up to present day. You've gone through a lot there. I must commend you on your detail and being able to go through what you've gone through.
With suffering from ADHD, or ASD and ADHD, is a lot of the knowledge is that retained, and being such a traumatic event is this isn't the end of my healing processes. Once my son's back, it's a whole new healing for that one to happen, and you've got to heal and progress no matter how far you've come along the way. Self-care has been present for me, and it has been, and I rave around it, and my kids are my healing for that one alone.
Okay. Just to wrap up, we've got a last few questions before we come to pretty much the end. The first one is looking back at your last two relationships with the kid's mum, both of them, your daughter's mum and your son's mum. Did you notice any red flags?
No, you don't. Even when you sit back, and I've sat on, like most people, you watch the TikTok videos, you watch the YouTube videos, going, these are the signs. And who I was discussing it with a friend of mine is whether it's narcissism or domestic abuse, every relationship it is. And we joke about, you've got one that wears the pants and the one that doesn't. You've got the one that controls the finances and the house cleaning. You know, there's always someone controlling. There is some sort of abuse, whether it's the banter, the laughter, you know, even healthy relationships. If you look at it and you can twist it, it will look like domestic abuse. It will look like a narcissistic behaviour. But it isn't until, like, I never thought what my son's mum was doing was financial abuse. I saw it as, I'm helping her see her son. Or see her sons. Because it wasn't just one that I was letting out. It was both of them. You know, both kids. So no, you won't see the red flags until you stop back and look.
Does what you've been through make you hesitant about future relationships?
Yes. So before, when this started with my daughter's mum, and I got with Liam, well, my son's mum, I said, and this is how bad it was, how much paranoia I had. And we were discussing about if she ever felt pregnant and stuff like that. And I went, if you do, and we break up, God forbid, could you willing to sign a parenting plan? Where it shows that have 50-50 custody, everything was fair, equal, shared. And she laughed at me. Not because she thought it was funny. She laughed and she went, I won't do that. She's got other kids, and she has been pushing for them to see the kids. They want the dads to see the kids. And it does. One of the dads, eldest lad, in fact, right now, not my son, and his dad is on the birth certificate, so which means he's privy to these hearings. No, wait, he wasn't on the birth certificate, he wasn't. But the social contacted him and asked him if he wanted to be part of these proceedings. For me, you know, the end result for this is his son's getting put up for adoption. Yes, he's 16 in August, but he's going to be able to come, but it's still a chance. He'll be an adoption. Well, the way social's doing it, he's going to be in adoption till he's 18. And his dad said no. His own dad, knowing that his son was going to be up for adoption, said no. And when I said to Leanne, and knowing Leanne, and she went, I want my kids to see that, and she has been pushing for it, and then seeing that, and knowing Leanne is like, yeah, it was a stupid thing for me to say to her, but all paranoid. I had allegations going on. I was scared. I didn't know. I didn't jump into a relationship with anyone. I didn't sleep with anyone. I was scared of doing anything. In fact, one of my godson, he lives up Scotland, and I went up to go see him. And every time my friend left the room, I was following. And she questioned me why. I went, I'm scared. You're afraid of that they can say just one thing and it's automatically believed. I went to the social worker and about the financial abuse, and they went, have you got any proof? Hang on a minute. Why do I need proof? They've not needed to. But lucky enough I did. I had messages that showed it, and it makes you petrified. It scares you. Even now, yes, okay, I am sleeping with people, and one of them is slow, and I mean it's that slow that she hasn't slept in the same house, at the same bed as me in the same house. Because again, I'm petrified. I'm scared of what's going on. You know, I'm worried.
Yeah, a lot of men are.
They are, and it's not a he said, she said world. It's a she said, he did it type of world now, without any help from us men, and it's all of it. And I was shocked if the groups I had now was there, that I'd had those access to those in the beginning. I think I'd be in a better place than I was. And they'd help.
Knowing what you know now, would you have done anything differently?
Yes. Educated wise, I'm not educated. I'm an overqualified bloody chef. I failed maths and English. I'm dyslexic. I retain useless knowledge that I shouldn't even know. But if I knew the stuff I knew now, and saw the signs, things would be a hell of a lot different. I knew where I stood, and I could fight and be, rather than just being lost. And that became, for me, the only way I can describe how I truly was I was a lost child. In my own head, that inner child, that the one that suffered from the abuse was back out. He was scared. I didn't know what to do. I wish I did know what I knew now. And it's best for people like men that's just starting to go through what I've gone through, is I can now share my knowledge with them and go, actually guys, try this way. There is light at the end of the tunnel.
Would you have any more children?
Yes.
Yeah?
I joke about this. Yes and no. I've always said from a young age I wanted 12 kids.
12?
I want my own rugby team.
12 is a big number.
12 is a big number, and every last that I've said to them, I want 12. They've gone, you ain't having 12 with me. I'll give you 1 or 2, but that's bloody it. But no, I do and I don't. I've thought about it. Yes, it'd be nice, but I've got one of each sex.
It's pretty much what people want.
Yes. What more can anybody ask for? You've got one of each. If I had another one, I'd need another one after that. It needs to be fair. And I'd continue to having kids until I've got an equal number of each. Because it's how I have to be. And part of me does, but then I sit back and I look and I'm thinking, my son now, He's 21 months old, and he's more like his dad as I am now. That I don't think I could. I don't think I could have any more if it. No, it's scary thinking about it, but then it's also at the same time, it's going through can I go through all this stuff again? And the honest answer is I couldn't do all this again. Yes, I'd have better knowledge, yes.
I think
it's painful.
Once you've got regular contact back with your son and you manage to re-establish contact with your daughter,
everything falls back into place. I've said the one thing that I am scared of is when I've got some form of when all this is done. That's how I've got to look at it. When all this is done, is what am I going to do afterwards? I have fought for 4 years for it, for my kids. I have non-stop been on the go. The brain hasn't managed to shut off properly. And when this is done, what else have I got left to go? You know, I've got my kids, yeah, but that fight's done.
You've got the rest of your life.
I've got the rest of life to sit down and relax, and I'm scared about is because the fighting will stop.
No, you shouldn't be scared about that. You should look forward to it.
I know.
You'll finally have peace.
But that's the thing. It's because I've fought for so long. I've become so accustomed to it, and it has been. You're literally on edge all the time, and every little thing, though, it could be something. Just you're snapping at people because you're stressed. I mean, I snapped at my neighbour the other day. All he took a teaspoon next door, and I had a go at him was because I'm stressing with this financial abuse stuff. It's scary to me. I don't know why my son's mum's doing what she's doing. I've then got to fight for him to go here and get the assessments I need here. And I took it out on him. And I didn't need to. I apologised after going, I shouldn't have done it. But he went, you need to go to the doctor, and I did. And the only thing the doctor could say was, it is what it is. You are going to do it. You're going to snap at people because you don't know what to do. And I don't now. When I finally found, like, before all this financial abuse stuff started coming to light, yeah, all right, I was fighting. I was still confused with her, but I still had a fight to go. And then all this come out, and it was, what do? I hit a brick wall. Where do I go? What do I do? And I went and I messaged my friend who lives up Scotland, went, I need to come up. I need to go. I need to see my family. I need to see her. She's my own family. She is my family. She's little sister. She's a pain in the... I can't stand the word she says. She's Scottish. And I go up, you know. And it was my break from society, disconnected from my phone. People was trying to ring me and want to know what I've done. Well, just didn't. I disconnected from it all because I needed to get my own thoughts back in order. And when they came back, when I came back, I knew where I stood. I knew what I needed to do. I knew that the fact is, I fought for little man. Yes, to go home to his mum, but again, I've gone from being secondary option now to primary option. Then I got the phone call of the new social worker after the old one got sacked, and she's been epic. She's listened. And for anyone that's going through this, the hardest thing you're going to find someone to do, especially in a professional, is to find someone who's going to listen and sit there and actually go to you, you know, this is scary. I mean, I'm not going to lie, yes, what she's saying, she is the right words. Do I trust her at this moment? No, I don't, because I've had 2 other social workers that's twisted stuff on me. I don't trust her. Never have done, never will do. Until we get the statement through. But then, because we're so close to the end of the hearings, we're at the second to last hearing, This social worker's coming in a shit show of a bloody case anyway. That, I feel sorry for her, but yet she's listening, and she's been here since for just over a week now. She's been part of this case, and I've spoken to her 5 times on the phone. And it wasn't like the other one where the one that linked my son's, basically linked my son's passport. He wanted to get off the phone with you. He never wanted to speak to you. Even if he rang you, he'd want to be off that phone faster. The one before that never bothered with me. I felt segregated in this last. Oh no, she's ringing me going, are you alright? You okay? Is everything okay? You know, even after I saw little man on Wednesday, she was like, how was it? Was he happy? Is everything okay? And I'm like, this is unusual, but she was telling me she spoke to his mum twice. The first phone call she had with him, she turned around to her and went, if you want to speak to me, you speak to my solicitor. And I was like, well, that's not a good sign. A solicitor did, and it was... But then another scenario happened where the social worker, she was different, was... What day are we on? We're on Sunday, so it were... Thursday? When did she come up? Thursday evening. I got a phone call from the police regarding my son's my son's eldest sister. And I'm like, we're not together. It's got naught to do with me, but I will ring them and let them know. And I did. I rang his sister up and then remembered she's at work. So I rang his mum. She has my number blocked, so I had to ring her unwithheld. And I rang, no answer. I kept ringing because if the police ring you, something's important here. And she answered to me, and the only way before I even could get a word out, she just turned around to me. She went, leave me the fuck alone. I want nothing to do with you. I'm like, right. Okay then. Well, how I'm seeing it as is, we're going through proceedings here. Social is saying there's a risks here. Well, hang on a minute. The police are involved here. I need to ring the social worker and let her know that I've just had this phone call. So I rang the social worker. And I told her I've just had a phone call from the police. They didn't want to speak to me. They want to speak to her oldest daughter. So I was like, right. And she went, right, okay. And her phone rang, so she jumped off. She rang me back. And she went, Jonah, I'm going to quote you a message. Remember, it's not my words, this message. This is the message I've received. I'm like, okay then. And the message was from my son's mum. Was tell my ex to leave me the fuck alone or I'm going to report you as harassment. And the social worker just replied, went to me, she went, I've replied back to, because I said to her, I'm ringing her about the police. She went, well, that's what I replied back. All he's doing is letting you know that this is what was said. The police has rang me what was said. And under her breath, she just went, good guys get it the worse. And to me, that to me was like, that hit a nerve more than anything, but it was a positive nerve. Like, it's so true. And I don't think I was supposed to hear it. But then not long after, she was saying, Jonah, as a safeguarding concern, as in, she's more of the concern and you need protecting, is don't contact her. Because again, she's not being helpful. She's not being amicable. You are trying to be, and she isn't. For your safety, you need to stop contact. And this is my son's mum, and you know, we're going through the same shit together. Yes, I know she doesn't want him, but I want to fill her in and everything that's going on, and now I can't. And I'm not going to lie and tell you I don't still love this woman to bits, because I do, and it's still fresh, all this, and it hurts. It hurts more than anything else. I love this woman to bits. She taught me so much, and she gave me the best gift in the world. I mean, I've got to say, when I say gift, I don't mean, yes, he's a gift, but it's also a birthday gift. He was born 6 days after I was born, after my birthday. So he's the best gift I've ever had, as well as my daughter as well. But that, and I'm in a state of confusion. Is I love this woman and I hate this woman at the same time. But again, the love I feel from my son outweighs the hatred I feel for her, and it always needs to be that way.
I think the last thing that I wanted to ask was, could you wrap up this whole episode in 2 words? And that will be the name of your episode. You can always text me later if you...
Yeah, I need time to think on that one. The only word that came to my head was a shit show. And I like that. You know,
That's one word.
Yeah. No, shit show.
Is it?
Yeah, shit show's 2 words.
Oh, okay. Do you want that?
I'd have shit show, yeah.
Is it?
This whole... It's the whole thing's a shit show.
2 words. Not bad.
You really thought shit show was too... Oh, you're as bad as me mate yesterday.
I'm not the best at English.
What am I? You're as bad as me mate yesterday. We watched... Twitter has gone... Oh. Stop the recording. For that one.
Okay. Well, we'll wrap it up there. And
yeah. But
I appreciate you taking the time to...
It's been nice to getting it out there, and it's been a long time, and just rather than having to tell professionals, it's just getting it out there for everyone else to hear it and saying this is real. This is what's happening now.
Yeah, and I hope sooner or later you do get properly reunited with regular contact with your kids.
Yes, so do I. I'll add on to thingy as well. A social worker said also Thursday night was, so because I've now asked for Tuesdays, I want to get in the here as well, is that because she's now refusing to have Tuesdays with contact, I've said I want to take it, it's Tuesdays, to keep up with little man's routines, his well-being. You know, this is going to be just as bad to him. And I proposed to him, you know, give me Tuesdays as well. It keeps up his routine, and plus it also shows how much I want to be in his life. I'm travelling 8 hours a day worth of travelling. If I'm willing to do that twice a week if I have to, I'm willing to do it every single day. If I could afford that one as well. But she was saying she liked my proposal and she was happy with it. And she was saying that her management's been umming and ahhing about it, and it's because they want to. The problem is they're waiting for my risk assessment, my parent assessment to come from the independent social worker to come through. That becomes positive, then I'll get Tuesdays as well, which is be great for me and for little man, because it shows how dedicated I am. The amount of travelling, but has to be everything, and if she doesn't want that day, I'm happy to take whatever day.
If there's an option for extra time, always grab it.
Always, no matter
never turn
what.
it down.
And if it's their fault for you missing contact, they will always say, "We'll make up to you. Cash that thing in." I didn't. I waited until this has come, and as soon as this has happened, I just turned around to my solicitor and went, "All those times they've owed me when I've not cashed in," she went, "Yeah, we're cashing them all in now." She went, "Okay."
Because getting that regular contact,
it builds that bond, that emotion with him and with your child, no matter what.
I think more important than that, on the paperwork and their side of it,
yes,
they want to see the regular contact, and then it drops to non-supervised, and then
that's what I'm thinking, because they're not allowed to use now since the 28th of May this year. The local authority have now been told they're not allowed to use the allegations anymore. So which means my risk assessment is going to be positive anyway, because there's none. And I'm hoping and praying that once they've got that, we go back to court and we go, why does he need supervised contact? Can we not now leave it as unsupervised? He's doing everything he can. He's got everything that you wanted him to do. And that it was bad where the local authority were asking me to do another parenting course. And I'm like, I've done 2. What's this third one make? And they said the name, and a friend of mine, see, this is the part that I got the most, and sorry for dragging it on a bit more now, but I know a few people. I've got a friend of mine, he's gone through what I've gone through and won. He's got full custody of his daughter, son, as in with the social and the adoption. He's got full custody of his daughter, sorry. I've got a friend and she went up against the local authority and lost. It's the other 2 friends I've got that has pushed me for that fight more than anything else, because They're the children's side of this. They was placed up for adoption, and the only thing they know is what is in your social services file. And this is before May, was before they could say. I sat back and I like, what will my kids read? No, these lasses were telling me that they only know what was read in their file. I went, have you spoken to the parents? They went, your biological parents? They went, no. So you don't know what fight they've done. I went, because it's not just a straight, I don't want my kids, or they're a risk, we're taking them off. There's a process. And they read what was in their social service file, and I've sat back and I went, what would be in mine? And these are before the allegations weren't allowed to be used. I'm going, well, they're going to use the sexual abuse stuff. They're going to say I'm domestic abusive. They're going to use these, and that part, I can't have it. Football, down the road.
Oh.
Your literally stadium's just there. So, and I went, I don't have that. This is that when I can't have my child turning 16 and reading what they've read in my file. I can't have that happening. This is my fight now. I need to make sure he does not read what's in that. He needs to come home with me. And I can't have him up for adoption, because what he reads, if he reads all that shit, even I would hate my own dad if I read that. So I couldn't have that. That's my drive. That's my gumption, is I know what he's going to read. And I ain't having him reading the lies. My friends, when I said to him, speak to him, one of them did. And she said, she rang me. And she that evening, she went, I've seen my mum. She went, I went, how did it go? You went, your biological one, your foster one? She went, my biological one. How was it? She went, she started crying. She went, she fought for me and lost. I went, you hated her for all these years, but she actually fought for you. I went, but what you read is here. I went, and that gave me, again, as I keep saying, that gumption, that bollocks, that drive to go, I'm fighting for you. This is not happening. My kids deserve better than what, well, especially my son deserves better than where he is at now. I'm not going to fault his foster care is brilliant. She's ace. It's just, it's not his parents.
No. Yeah. Okay. Nice. We'll leave that there.
Yeah.
It's been really great. And again, nice. Thank you for taking the time. It's been a really good one.
It has. I've enjoyed it as well.